Bush League Podcast. A show about nothing and everything.
.4.
Wow.
Okay, Verstappen third.
That's about right. Oh, here comes Hamilton.
Like,
oh, he's all
I
green.
couldn't just get lucky and him put that thing into the wall. Like I don't want him to be hurt. I just
No. I don't want to have ill will. Hamilton got second. Son of a.
he's good, man.
Oh. Well,
I don't like him, but he's good.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Bottas is going to last long with them anyway.
Well, to be fair, I feel like they're holding him back a little bit, but where can Bottas move to? Nowhere. Like you can't move anywhere and go up.
No.
You're not, no matter what he does, he's not trading up.
No, you can't. Well, unless Mercedes, whenever they go with McLaren, and McLaren finally has a car that works well, it's the only thing he could do. Wait a minute, didn't Bottas? Oh, he was with Williams. He wasn't with Mercedes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Mercedes, that's perfect for Mercedes. Why wouldn't he go to McLaren? Because if he's getting Mercedes engines, they already like him. They know him. They have a working relationship. It'd be ideal for him if they boot him out.
And he was fighting her there.
There he is, the young lad, Mr. Leclerc.
He's good, though.
He is. Leclerc is good. I like Ocon, but Leclerc is good. If Ocon had a good car, he might be doing all right.
We're recording, so if you guys want to get started.
Oh, that was awful sneaky of you, Jeremy.
Well, no,
That's going to be the intro to the show.
He needs to hear what it sounds like and stuff, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta get the ones and twos all dialed in.
That's it.
Wow, I can't believe this is all.
I'll put on the GoPro and stuff and just let her go.
You sure that's in the right spot? And as
Give it our test.
And as Tyson gets up and walks gingerly toward the GoPro, but
How's the lighting?
Like, not terrible. Like, it is what it is, right? It's a room.
it's a room in a basement.
If it's not perfect, I have to leave.
Don't know about you, but I spent $200 on makeup this morning.
You imagine?
Well, I happen to notice you have quite the no shine in your face today. I was quite impressed by that.
Quite the no shine.
Quite the dull look on your face.
All right.
Well, that's normal.
And here's what I didn't tell you. So there's a new app being launched this week called Odd List. And by complete fluke, the group that I joined, trying to get advice on like how to post podcasts and stuff, this guy came on there and said, basically, he's got 20 spots. They're launching this app. They've got a sponsor already. And I talked to him. So when we launch this, we'll be on their trending page. So when people go onto the app, we're on the front page as a with no episodes to listen to whatsoever.
No episodes and a website with just
no
four
content.
floating heads.
Yeah. Like I told him, I sent him the cover and everything. And he's like, what's it about? And I told him, I said, well, nothing.
That's about right.
Well, nothing.
Nothing but everything.
Nothing about geopolitical or
Just the bush.
just
The bush.
Just the bush. Just the bush.
Maybe want to watch the Bush Boys.
This is perfect content for a Bush League podcast.
And
Pausecast.
as usual, there's always the one guy who can't spit it out.
Yeah, I feel like I'm that editor guy who pipes in every now and then.
Do you watch Impractical
producer.
Jokers?
Yeah, I don't produce content. What's that?
Impractical Jokers, you can be our cue.
Yeah, perfect.
I was thinking you're Sal.
That's what I get at school all the time. But I can't do the double Dutch. I try so hard.
We all know who he is.
Yeah.
I don't know the show.
Hey, Gary, you have to watch. It's one of the funniest shows I've ever seen.
Gary is Joe.
Gary is 100% Joe.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm Murr.
He would be the guy.
The idea, Gary, whoever gets the most thumbs down throughout the show because they did stuff that they refused to do, that's how you lose. So if the guys can catch you up on something you won't say, so they get you in a social situation and then say something inappropriate, and like you're reading the situation like, yeah, I'm not saying that. So you lose. So then the gentleman's agreement they have is at the end of the show,
You get a
someone's
punishment.
getting embarrassed, really embarrassed, is the idea. But they have a hard time because they just can't embarrass Joe because he'll do anything. Like they arranged this whole thing, got permission from this cafe. There's a bathroom in the cafe. And Joe, in the middle of this cafe, you're going to open the bathroom door and yell for someone to bring you toilet paper. And Joe responded with, okay, where? Is that it? All right. And he just walked in and did it. And they all looked at each other like, what do we do? This was supposed to be his punishment. He doesn't care.
and he kicks the door open and goes, hey, I need some toilet paper. He's got the door wide open. The whole place is looking at him. And he's like, come on, guys, someone give me a hand here. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. There's no shame. No shame.
It's just, I love the random stuff. Like, I like the Subway one where the two of them are they're like making the subs or whatever. And then the guys they're in their ears telling them stuff they have to do. So it's just like the guy comes in, he asks for what he wants. The guy starts making the sub. And he's like, just drop an elbow on it. So he's like, and just like keeps making it, and like the guy's looking at him, and so did you want anything else on that? Or and he's just like
smashing his elbow with a buddy sandwich.
Yeah. So pro. Such a pro.
Phone's on vibrate.
Professional ship.
Or off.
Am I the only one that muted my phone?
Mine's always on vibrate.
Mine too.
I like the feeling.
Who doesn't?
I'm not surprised.
Okay, boys.
Jeremy's pretty fast and furious there on his deep brand phone.
Can we say that? I'd feel so pro if we could say we were sponsored by D-Brand, even though they have no idea.
No clue.
Nor do they care who you are.
You're not wrong.
I know.
How do you want us to do this, Jeremy?
Yeah, Jeremy. Oh, producer Jeremy.
I don't know. I'm just glad this is all working.
We should start with the same thing, though, right? You should
We
always
should
have
probably
the same
introduce
intro.
ourselves. This is Tyson. This is what his voice sounds like. This is Jeremy. This is what his voice sounds like.
There it is.
Otherwise, we're going to have like 4 voices that sound very similar.
This is Cameron.
They can edit that. Like when you were saying about introduce ourselves, almost kind of tell, what our jobs kind of are too, Just say,
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
this, I
That
do
literally
that.
How much
could
you
be the
make?
last thing we record today.
That would make
What my tax return was.
well done.
My name's Tyson Theriault. My social insurance number is...
Whoa. My driver's license number.
Yeah.
You'd almost have to say, welcome. First of all, welcome to a Bush League podcast. My name is Cameron. I have Jeremy, Gary, and Tyson, my friends of 20 odd years.
Hi, I'm Jeremy.
Gary.
I'm Gary. You're not Gary. I'm Gary.
I was waiting for that to happen, too. I am Tyson.
There it is. We just did it.
We just did it.
We just did it.
So just to be clear, so if you're listening, this is the Bush League podcast. And so years and years and years ago, we've been friends for about 20 years. It's kind of like Impractical Jokers, actually, where we don't compete to embarrass each other. We just gang up on Cameron and embarrass him.
This is true.
So
Very true.
Years ago, we're a little bit smarter now. Not much smarter now. We did something called Bush League Wrestling, which was an on-the-point name because it was Bush League. We were not very good.
We were definitely backyarders.
So we might be setting your expectations of this podcast by calling it the Bush League podcast because we don't know what to expect either.
Because in our first venture, it was very Bush League. And in now this iteration, it is also Bush League. And so this is the Bush League podcast.
True story.
And I'm going to be honest with everyone listening. We've prepared nothing. And we're trying to sort that out right now.
I think that's obvious.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not telling you something you don't already know.
We're not really as formal and as planning as people think. We're more of just, shoot from the hip kind of people. So we just kind of roll with whatever comes next.
What's
wanted
next?
to say, shoot from there. So bad.
I so did.
He's on the way here. So, shoot from the hip. Shoot from the hip. Shoot from the hip.
I've never heard you say that expression in my entire life. You put a mic in front of you and it just comes out.
So
Shoot from them.
loquacious.
See, now,
I don't know what that means.
see, the human dictionary over here is going to start throwing real big words at us.
Like scrumtrelescent.
Cameron is pointing at Gary, but he doesn't know that you can't see that.
I apologize. I'm pointing at Gary.
I think it's cool to say what you do for a living because it kind of like
Gives you a little validity.
establishes things you might know. I have 4 extremely different careers. So I don't know what I know.
What are those careers, Jeremy?
These days I am by name an electrical technologist, and that sounds very pretentious. So as the technologist, I'm the guy that sets all this stuff up. So if it sounds like garbage,
It's your
you
fault.
can send complaints to the email that I'm not giving out right now. But I was a truck driver at one point. I did that for about 6 years, and I'm swiveling in my chair and making noise. And
That's the technologist.
that's right. And I went to school for 2 years in Fredericton about, 15 years ago. And for audio engineering. And I used to go over to Cameron's house and watch wrestling while his wife attacked my arm because she couldn't believe what was happening to Shawn Michaels. And yeah, that's kind of the nutshell. But I work at a engineering firm now, and I do drafting for buildings.
And your name is Jeremy Bourque.
Did I say it? Didn't I say that?
No, you did not.
Oh, thank you. What's your name?
My name's Cameron Hare.
Stupid rave.
That's a long-standing nickname, thanks to our other cohort here, Gary.
Stupid rave.
I love how it's your name in the group chat. It just cracks me up.
Doesn't know how to change it back.
I don't really care. I'm a web hosting technical support agent. I've done that for 10 years. Before that, I was a natural gas collection agent for people who didn't pay their natural gas bills.
Stupid rave.
Just to be clear, you didn't collect the natural gas itself.
No, I collect the funds that people owed us.
Right.
I was that big bad person that called you and said, "Where's my money? Where's my money?"
Wow. Did you say it like that?
No, actually, I said it like this: "Hello, sir.
Where's my money?
We see that your bill is a little overdue, and we've going to disconnect your gas. Is there any way you can make a payment today? No. How about you talk to a friend? Possibly go to a family member."
Oh, really?
It was a horrible job.
Tell them to get like credit cards and
Yep.
max them.
Yep.
Wow.
Stupid rave.
But now I am a web hosting technical support person, which I like a lot better. It's all websites and domains and
So, for example, if I had a website and I was like, my website doesn't work, and I get on the phone, I'm like, boo, doo, 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 and I press 1 for Cameron's team, and I say, so how do you answer the phone?
thank you for contacting web hosting technical support. My name is Cameron. How can I assist you today?
My website doesn't work.
Oh, very sorry to hear that, sir. May I have your domain name and the spelling of it? So
I don't know what that is.
It's your address, sir. Your actual website address. You go to your
123
website.
Main Street.
Is that .com?
Why do you want to know where I live?
Is that .com or .net?
Is that how you have to like? Is that the
Dot
demeanor?
biz.
Oh, a .biz. Wow. Gary spent the big money. Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty much all you do. And then you go start going to the website and see if there's something wrong with the code or if the server's down and just go from there.
Code? Do we
Code.
have anyone here that knows about code?
Well, I believe we may.
My name is Gary. I am a software developer. I work mostly on geospatial and electronic navigational.
You work on WikiLeaks, and we all know it. We all know it.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Did you or did you not write the software for the Costa Concordia?
I had nothing to do with the Costa Concordia. I am familiar.
Did your software instruct the captain to push women and children out of the way and abandon the ship?
Nope, in no way whatsoever was I connected to that event.
Wow, very good. That was some intense questioning, and you held your own on that.
You folks can't see, but he got really nervous.
What's your favorite programming language?
I work mostly in C++.
Say if you say
PLSQL and some Python.
Okay.
oh, if you say PHP, I'm coming right across.
A long time ago, I did some PHP.
This is not about
Not in
drugs.
years.
We're not talking about drugs.
No.
So none of those are your favorite?
I don't know how you couldn't like Python. It's
Yeah,
quite powerful.
Python's pretty.
Yeah, it's quite the tool.
Python's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, you heard it
Most
here.
of my day is in C++, though.
You've heard it here first. We like Python, and we hate them all. The rest of them here at the Bush League Podcast.
No love for WYSIWYG.
Would you say that you could teach someone Python?
I would give that a hard no.
You would?
A hard no.
Do we have someone here who could teach things?
Oh, is that me? Oh, wow. Who knew that Jeremy could like throw it,
Into the segue.
So I'm Tyson Theriault, and I guess I'm a teacher. That's why they're staring at me now, giving me the stink eye.
You have summers off. That's not hard.
Before
I say that. That was a very
almost
planted.
lost our rating.
That was a very planted comment.
Before teaching, I was in university, so I guess there's no. There was that. The 6 years of your life you can't get back that you still pay for into your 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you teach, Tyson?
Right now, actually, that's a whole. Because you guys honestly don't know this now. What's going on? So I teach world issues and sociology mostly, and then I teach digital productions, film production, stuff like that.
So what you're saying is you could do a better job at this podcast than me.
If it was a video.
Okay.
Yeah, the audio recording is probably my weakest point at this point. But yeah, we are honestly piloting we're one of the first ones in the province. I don't know how much I can actually say that we're doing because I don't know how much of it we're allowed to do, but we're doing it anyway.
I wonder if people know what province we're in, if they've guessed by now.
Okay, so in the province of New Brunswick, and we have to go give a presentation next week. So I'm co-teaching with another teacher, Mark Noel, and we're offering more than 1 credit per credit hour. So the way it's working is, so the government of New Brunswick, and most provinces are the same, and I know most states in the U.S. are the same, that the general outcomes for any given course it's not supposed to dictate your mark. It's supposed to be what you need to know to get this course.
Okay.
But I think a lot of teachers accidentally aren't actually measuring those. I don't think it's on purpose. I think it's been job creep over time. So like a typical high school teacher. So my regular world issues class right now is 29 students in it, and I'm flying solo.
So what you're saying is teachers don't have enough to do.
No, so they got to give them more to do.
Right.
So the idea of this would be you give... I'm not sure what Cameron's doing over there, but it's awkward. You guys can't see this, but if you could, it'd be embarrassing for him. So the idea would be, what we've changed is I give you the outcome straight up first day. And you know what those are. You get to know those as a student. And I have you for 2 hours, not 1 hour. So in those 2 hours,
different.
you kind of declare almost like it's university, the 2 courses you want to get out of this. And technically on paper, if a student's on the ball, they can work on 3.
Are we going to die?
No, we're okay.
Okay.
And they probably won't know what that was either because it probably didn't pick it up. But
Oh, good call.
there's a random beep in here. But yeah, that's the idea. So technically, and then like manner where the Minister of Education liked it. And then I'll kind of end it here was, and you guys would all know, like even from high school, the idea would be in high school, when you fail the course, you had to take the whole course over.
Yep.
But in reality, you're supposed to be being measured on.
I can confirm that is what it does. That's what happens.
But in reality, though, Jay, you're supposed to be getting measured on outcomes, which means if you got 50% and failed the course, then you got half the outcomes.
Right.
So why did they make you take it all over? Why didn't they just make you take what you didn't get?
But doesn't that create a scheduling nightmare? Because the idea is that course would go on in its entirety again the following
You got
year.
her, but not our way.
Okay.
So our way is we have you for a block of time, and you could even technically be working ahead on a course. So right now we have a student who's getting an English credit and a world issues credit, and she can use all her stuff for world issues to write English. So instead of writing a separate paper for English and a separate paper for me, she writes one. And she
Okay.
hands it into her English teacher and to me in that block. And all the research into the paper goes towards her final project too. But what she didn't realize is she's actually hitting, kind of by accident, some of the law outcomes in her research that she can also use.
Wow.
So technically, it's
That's
not
very,
it's
like-
not like failing a course, but if she takes the block next semester and there's 10 law outcomes she needs to achieve to get that credit, she actually already got 3 of them the semester before. So why measure something twice on a kid, especially if they've mastered it already?
But you see, they do that in college. When I took refrigeration, that's what they did. You had a block and had the test, and then another block, and then a test, and they had it all chopped up in all these little blocks. And if you messed one up, you could go back and take it again yourself. You wouldn't have to start the whole year over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way they did it.
Well, because to be fair, life's like that.
True.
Like if I'm building something in the garage and I mess up on the last thing I did, I don't burn it and start over. I go fix the last thing I did.
It's weird.
But we do that to kids in school. We make them start all over for some reason.
Sounds like an internship where you're just working towards competencies. You just missed one competency. You go back and
You go back and you take that one.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is more the way things work.
So some of the projects that we have, so as an example of something different, which is why we're all excited. So we give them, they can decide their own projects. We didn't give them no dictation towards us whatsoever, other than what are your declared courses? You need to make sure you're hitting those outcomes. So what this has turned into is we have one group of 3. They were 2 groups and they kind of came together. So we had 2 girls passionate about doing something with single-use plastics. And then we had another guy who decided, I'm going to modify a 3D printer. I want to print prosthetics for kids who need them. And so my only introduction to those 2 were, you 2 should talk to each other. And next thing you know, they're using single-use plastics to turn it into filament for the 3D printer to literally print recycled plastic. And they're doing it. Like they're doing it.
So to sum up, me, Gary, and Cameron poke around with computers, and Tyson changes lives and saves the environment.
That's what I heard.
what'd you do this summer, Tyson?
Boom, 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 boom.
I
Really
worked,
trying to get it
actually, Gary. We were involved in a production through halfway through July, and then halfway through August, I was back at work again. So I got about, to be fair, I got about 5 weeks off this summer. 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks off.
Yeah.
All 4 of us are unfortunately former backyard wrestlers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No one
yeah.
mentioned that.
Yes, we all were.
Yeah.
And 3 of us are musicians.
True.
Cameron
I
can
am
clap
not.
on beat. I can confirm.
Can he?
The 2 and do you clap on the 2 and the 4, or the 1 and the 3?
One of the 3.
Wow.
So you Baptist?
So you're
No, I was baptized United. Grew up in a Presbyterian church.
That's why the 1 and the 3. Okay, we've established.
Married a Catholic girl in a Pentecost church. I'm good.
He is a Christian mutt.
Or if you're at a Dream Theater concert, you can clap on the 2 and the 7.
Oh man, I hope there's some fans out there who get that.
Yeah, because I didn't.
Man, it sounds like you just described your upcoming album. Yep.
Yep.
So the idea is one of us is going to bring something to the podcast table each week, and we're going to learn about it. We're going to talk about it. And that's kind of the premise of the
Maybe
show.
even multiple things.
Yes. And it will likely not be serious, and it will be very lighthearted. Something that will make you feel not happy or sad when it's done.
We hope.
In theory. Gary looks to be looking for a topic as we speak.
Gary's
Going through his
Well, I'm looking
Rolodex.
too, because while we were on to the Bush League wrestling thing and how bad we were at it,
There is video of that.
There
Video.
is.
thank
Holy
goodness-
cow. You know
thank
what we're doing?
goodness This is a podcast. We can already post Vince Russo just going ham on Cameron.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
we
is
do have
true.
that.
I did get, I was, yeah.
Everything else we do not have copyright for and do not plan to pay to get copyright for. So we will have basically no content except for our own.
True story. I was thinking about, I wanted to know your guys' thoughts. Because some of us still watch wrestling, some of us don't watch it as much anymore, and then some of us haven't watched it in years, but we all watched it during the Monday Night Wars.
True.
Correct.
And now AEW is debuting. I feel like they stole our idea. They are debuting, except they can wrestle and we can't. They stole our idea, and they're going head to head with WWE on Wednesday nights. So, kind of by fluke and not necessarily on purpose, to be fair, NXT already had its show on Wednesday nights. And then they get a TV deal offered to them by the USA Network to go live because they like the product. And it just happens to be the same night of the week as AEW is about to go live on TNT, right?
Now, we all know that there's no coincidences when stuff like that happens, especially when it comes to the WWE. That had to have been a laid out
You
plan.
think?
Oh, it had to be. There's no way. How could it not be? This is like the last Monday Night Wars. Because when WCW did it, Vince did the same thing. And then, of course, when they went to SmackDown, of course, Thunder was on. They did the same thing to them. So they just kept trying to outdo each other. And, of course, you had a millionaire versus a billionaire. And in the end, the millionaire beat the billionaire.
It's a different... I wanted to know your thoughts on this because it's different. What's different for you guys is when it was Nitro versus Raw, it was literally the big boys versus the big boys, though.
Correct.
And now AEW has their show coming on, and what does WWE have coming on? Is their enhancement, their performance guys. They're literally in training. It's NXT. Their goal in NXT is to eventually end up on Raw or SmackDown.
But I think the reason they went with the NXT to go against AEW because the AEW guys were all independent wrestlers, and the NXT brand wrestles more of the indie style. It's not like a WWE style, which is kind of polished and they don't do a lot of the higher maneuvers and everything like that. But the independent guys are trying to make a name for themselves, and AEW
Well,
does the
I
same.
saw one comment online that kind of hit me, and it wasn't. I think it's partially true, but like someone just posted or commented on a post. Basically, when are people going to realize they're picking WWE or AEW already? But when are they going to realize that AEW is not competing for someone who watches Raw? They're competing for someone who watches NXT, and that was before NXT got the TV deal. Because NXT is very, it's some high spots. It's fast paced. They're indie guys. They all have something to prove. They're not wrestling as many times during the week, though NXT travels now. It does. So it's doing house shows during the week and everything. But the style is just, it's hard hitting. It's fast paced.
What are the ratings like for Raw these days anyway? Haven't they
like
gone
it
down?
used to be.
Yeah.
The first NXT one, I think they said they got 1 point some million views for the first show, and
When you think about it, that's not Raw.
that's not
That's
Raw.
the debut show for
And most
basically what's supposed to be your farm team. Just the farm team in this case happens to be more exciting to watch, if you ask me.
it's true. It's like you said because of the style. WWE, you see them twice a week, and they can't do the high flying moves, obviously, because they are on the road all the time. Like they go city to city to city, and they never stop. Well, the NXT guys get probably. They do like 3 tapings in a day or 2 days, and then they're off for a week. So those guys can take those high risk, high intensity, fast pace compared to the other guys can.
Yeah. Well, there's just not as much wear on there.
Well, it was like ECW back in the day. Gary and I used to watch ECW, and it was like once a week you'd watch the show, and they pretty much killed each other.
Well, they didn't have to wrestle all week.
Correct.
And they had other ways of managing their pain back then.
Yes, that's a fair point.
Yeah, ECW did a lot of things outside the box. But I find they're doing it different over in the UK though. The NXT is different here than it is in the UK because UK NXT is pretty much the highest they can go because there is no like Raw or SmackDown.
But did you see what they did? They brought Pete Dunne and Rhea Ripley from NXT UK over to NXT as if they were getting an upgrade when it's basically the same product. It's supposed to be the same. It's supposed to be like sister products. And now all of a sudden I don't know where Rhea Ripley went. I don't. She lost one match kind of by DQ to Shayna Baszler. It was a really good match. And all of a sudden, boom, they're having another number one contenders match as if Rhea's not there. Like you just brought her over. The first ever UK champ for the women doesn't even lose to the NXT champ. And you're having a number one contender match without her? Like it doesn't make sense to me.
What about the women? Because the few clips that I have watched, they seem to be saying that the women are much more exciting than the men.
It is.
Oh, absolutely. Like
I am a big Shayna Baszler fan right now.
And Kairi Sane and all the, well, you guys know.
Io Shirai is a wicked heel. Yeah.
I'm a huge Japanese wrestling fan.
But all the women I like to watch are at NXT. It's the same thing all over again.
Even IHW has women now. You see that?
Yeah.
In Moncton.
Yeah, no, but they do.
And they're good.
So it's getting more popular because I think the women have made it such a long way on Raw and SmackDown too, with like your Charlottes and Beckys and Sashas and Baileys and
yeah, they're actually performing. Where before they could perform, they wouldn't let them. They put them in all those stupid gimmick matches.
Yep.
And now they're like, hey, listen, can you go out and do an hour-long Iron Man match? Sure.
Is Ronda Rousey still?
She'll be back.
She's injured.
Not there now? Or?
She got
Yeah, she
injured.
is. She's still under contract, and they just basically, I think, put pause on her contract. So I think this is a fluke thing. I think she was getting ready to come back, and I know they had filmed some stuff, and then she was off filming in Mexico, some movie, and doing her own stunts, and someone slammed a door and took the end of her finger off. So
What?
she was actually getting ready to come back, and she had to have like reconstructive surgery on one of her fingers. She posted a picture of it.
Holy cow.
It's pretty gruesome. Not gonna lie.
But you see, the thing they all want to do with them is because in NXT, there were always the four horsewomen. There was Becky and Charlotte and Sasha
Bailey.
and Bailey. They were always called the four horsewomen. Well, the real four horsewomen from the MMA world are all in WWE now.
3 year in NXT,
3
and
year
Ronda's
NXT.
the fourth. Yeah.
So they have the four horsewomen fighting each other. This last 2 or 3 weeks, they started a storyline that they're all trying to defeat each other. But in the end, I think
we're wondering if Ronda's going to come out
when
with
Ronda
backup
comes
or
out,
something.
we assume that's going to be the four horsewomen of the MMA versus the four horsewomen of the WWE.
Because they're like, 2 of them are still looking a little green. But I mean, Shane has been ready for a while. Shayna Baszler is one of Ronda's. Like, she's NXT champ right now.
She's a machine.
It looks real. You are worried about other people's well-being, which I think that's why I like her so much. Like
She clotheslines
my
a-
boys watch it with me, and I thought Maddox was going to be sick one night when she, I think it was Dakota Kai, had her arm all folded backwards and then stomped her elbow.
Well,
And I don't know how you fake that.
Well, she actually didn't. That actually did put her on the shelf. That was an actual legitimate injury. That's what injured her was when.
Are you suggesting that wrestling is fake?
Guys, gravity is real.
Well, Jeremy, why don't you tell us? Because you got suplexed onto a ladder one night, and tell me that didn't hurt.
To be fair.
Yep. Yep. That's right. One of these days, we're going to do a commentary on the Bush League Wrestling.
Like a
Tapes.
like a retrospective.
Yeah.
I like
And
it.
no one will care except us.
No one will care about us.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll
that's,
have to bring Clifford out for the commentary.
oh man. We could do an episode in character.
I wouldn't mind adrenaline.
I don't know
doing
what
some
time I
commentary.
would say. Am I allowed to say that these days?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think I should.
Times
take
have
that
changed.
TNS.
Our PM there, JT's in a little bit of trouble, so I don't know if you're allowed to do
Good point. Yeah.
same time period.
I did not wrestle in black or brown face. I did not.
No,
No,
He just wore a mask.
just wore
Yeah.
a mask.
I did.
Hey, Ligero can do it.
Hey, Ligero's wicked though.
Yes, he is. It's phenomenal.
You guys need to start watching wrestling again, boys.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Don't touch that.
I was trying to adjust the mic before anybody asks any questions.
Good call, Cameron, on explaining that for the listeners, which is only us. So, you mentioned the Justin Trudeau. Are we doing current events?
Oh, no.
Because there's a very significant, you were talking about music event that just popped up on my notification.
Mm-hmm.
Metallica scraps rest of 2019 tour as lead singer. Unlock my phone. And now it's
You
gone.
tease.
If you were about to ruin James for me,
no.
I don't know what I'll...
As lead
Start
singer.
from the top again
James-
so you can edit that.
Good point. Metallica scraps rest of 2019 tour as lead singer James Hetfield enters rehab. Wow.
What?
Yeah. After all these years, I guess.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But he's been good for a long time.
Well, yeah, since because like the Saint Anger,
Yeah.
the documentary, Some Kind of Monster. That's what I'm trying to think. Which was when they were recording Saint Anger. That was the documentary for that album. I think they were either in rehab then, or they just got out recently, or something.
He had
I
done a
think.
stint.
Yeah.
Because I remember them going on about him. He was hunting in Russia and stuff, and he just kind of disappeared for, I don't know if it was weeks or months, and they couldn't. Because I remember Lars was all riled up over, basically couldn't get a hold of him. We couldn't even discuss
Right,
stuff. Where did he
right.
go? But he was looking after himself, right? Like
Yep.
he just had to
You had to go do that.
take that time. But that's,
So that was like what, 2007? 6?
I can look that up. I mean, the DVD's behind us on the shelf, but I can't reach it because I'm all wired in.
Put that on. It yeah, that's too bad. I mean,
Like, I hope he's okay. I don't.
yeah.
Well, obviously, he got to a point where he knew he needed to get help, and he just said, "Well, I got to do it."
Yep.
So when that comes to that point, you got to do what's best for you.
2004.
Oh.
That makes me feel really old.
Wow.
I remember buying that
Yep.
the day it came out. Yeah.
Yep. Saint Anger, the album that everyone complained about the sound of it.
What is
And,
Metallica's last album?
there's a
Is
Death Magnetic,
and then
Yeah.
there was.
and
Was
then
there one
there
after that? Because his voice was pretty...
yeah.
It's getting pretty
It was
shot.
getting to the
there.
end of it on that album, wasn't it?
Well, not that I'm condoning this, but like I think it's kind of fair to say that Metallica changed a lot after they kind of cleaned up their lives, I guess, to some degree, like doing rehab, stuff like that. I think they didn't have as much to be angry about. They were being better family people. They were, like getting a lot of things on track.
Little angry they couldn't sue Spotify after they pulled off the Napster.
Yeah, that's right. They've already been down that road. And I just found like it kind of changed. I guess like they sort of started to sound like they were continuing the Metallica sound, but without the initial Metallica intent when they were younger. And, so it's definitely lost a bit of its edge.
And I'm seeing it here, yeah. Metallica cancels tour dates. Postpones upcoming tour dates as James Hetfield returns to... Yeah, man.
So it's too bad because I'm at a point in my life where I'm more happy for him to be healthy than for
Yeah.
him to
Yeah,
same.
go back to alcohol so that the songs can be better. So,
Next topic.
Gary, you gonna do one of your cards?
You want a card?
What are the cards?
Because I've got
They're
something,
pretty random.
but we can go to the cards.
You got
Well-
something?
Well, kind of. I am adamant, just so you know, because we were joking in the group chat. On everything I have, I think Bigfoot's real.
What?
Have you seen yourself with your shirt off? And you think you're the one saying what to me? You've probably been mistaken for him. Or at least one of his children.
Wow.
That picture of Bigfoot in the freezer was just Cameron crawled up in bed.
Listen here, Joey Ryan. You and your Joey Ryan mustache.
Nothing wrong with that mustache.
Well, it only took him 4 years to grow it.
So, Cameron, I'm assuming you're not a believer.
I don't know. There's lots of weird things that you wonder about. Is there Loch Ness monsters or Bigfoot? They're all kind of the same thing.
I can help you now. There is no Loch Ness monster, but there is a Bigfoot.
Oh, you can believe in one and not the other.
You can, because there is a Bigfoot. So, like, I don't know what you want me to. Actually, the Loch Ness monster was just in the news, like last week,
Really?
because they can do some back testing of DNA in water because it's a lake, and come to find out, there was at one point giant eels
What about
in Loch Ness. Yeah, they found the DNA for
that classic picture is a giant eel jumping out of the water?
Legitimately could have been an eel. Yeah.
Wow.
Do you believe in the Chupacabra?
You're going down the rabbit hole on me here. You're going to have a whole.
What's the story on those Timbits? Can I have one?
Yeah, they're for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. And I don't know about Mothman because I kind of like Mothman too.
What?
But Bigfoot, I'm telling you. So a couple weeks ago, so listen to this one. Never mind, we could do a whole episode on the Patterson Gimlin film. Yes, I even know the name of the film. That's how big of a dork I am. Okay? I'm wearing you guys can't see, I'm wearing my Bigfoot socks today as well. Okay? It's a thing.
It's impressive.
But a couple fishermen got chased out of the woods in Washington State a couple weeks ago. I should look this up to confirm this. This really is not fair to do to you guys. They didn't see a Bigfoot. They didn't say they saw a Bigfoot, but they knew something was chasing them and there was a bunch of noise and it followed them out of the woods. So they just run into the woods. They didn't think it was a bear because they had run long enough that the bear would have given up. Like I've experienced that myself. Like bears are so docile now, they don't care.
What about a moose?
You get away from their young and they're okay. Well, it could have been a moose, fair game. Except that's not how the story ends. So they get in the truck, they leave. They call the sheriff station. And the sheriff comes out, looks around, and doesn't find anything. Can't find anything other than some broken branches and stuff. And then someone comes out. I can't remember who came out. I'm going to mess this story up, but like someone can look this up. But essentially, someone comes out and they find like a tuft of hair stuck to one of the trees, as if it had brushed by the tree. Anyway, this was quite a while ago, but the story ends with they did test this hair. They did not find out what it was, which they should have been able to find out what it was. That's the thing. But the DNA results came back as unknown primate. This was a couple weeks ago.
Well, I'm convinced there's a Bigfoot. Very easily
At the very least, that's a little freaky.
So
yes.
when was this? Like what year?
This year, but the
this
test
year.
just came back. Like the article came out just a couple weeks ago because the DNA results had just come back from what they thought it was. Because Bigfoot skeptics were all excited, right? Like, what was this? And it came back as an unknown primate. So it didn't test positive for anything. Just came back as primate family.
Okay. Well, that's something other than those videos that used to be on TLC on Sunday night from
I know,
1980s of that giant.
Well, can I tell you something that happens in society in general? Like, we're joking about Bigfoot, but I always get a kick out of, this is the line, right? Oh, if Bigfoot was real, you could apply this to anything. Someone would have seen it by now.
True.
Or if that conspiracy was true, someone would have said something by now. But whenever someone says anything, they're crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
So if anybody is willing to stand up and go, oh, I saw one, Chase, man, you're nuts, man. That was a goose.
It's true.
It was just making a lot of, but like that's what happens. People are just kind of like
It's true.
shrugged off, and it could be anything. It could be a conspiracy or a, you know what I mean? Like Trump and the CIA right now. It could be, oh, that's just nuts. They're lying. Like it's all the, you know what I mean? But that is the go-to line is if that was true or if that was real,
Yeah.
someone would say something and then.
Because it's easier to do that than actually take a stance.
But unlike all the other, like Loch Ness keeps coming up, right? Of all of them, there is more evidence towards Bigfoot than any of the.
Okay, wait a minute. So
There's casts, footprints, hair samples, sightings.
if you think Bigfoot's real, what about the abominable snowman? Would he not be somewhat of
Do
a
you want to
cousin?
go there with me? Or are you even up to date on the Dyatlov Pass incident, Cameron? Because there's been new findings.
Wow.
I will dork
He did-
out on you so hard.
He did not have
Let's
that
do
prepared.
this.
He really just knew whatever he just said. He did not look it up.
Dyatlov Pass, Cameron, go.
Throw it down. Give me a mic.
You have one.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Hey.
You've had one for the last hour.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I would love to do an episode on the Dyatlov Pass incident. And just so you know, that's not Bigfoot related. People just don't know what it was, or Abominable Snowman. But this group goes hiking. They're all like university students, except for one older fella, just to get their accreditation for, like, it's in Russia, and they give out badges or certification for how far up you can work it. Like, so are you a certified hiker? Could you be a guide, et cetera, et cetera. It's just that type of thing. But they disappeared for days. Are you looking it up? Because I'll spell it for you.
Well, actually,
Dyatlov. But regardless, but this is the mystery. Like, I feel bad for them. They had cameras and everything because they had to prove they did the hike. They were very extreme in that they knew how to take care of themselves. So every night the boots came off. They washed their feet. They didn't want to get gangrene. They didn't want, your feet can get wet and swell. It's cold. There's snow. And then they just never came home. And so when a search party went out and they went looking for them, like, this should be a movie, except there'd be no ending. So it'd be the worst movie ever. Whatever scared them so bad, they cut their way out of the tent to get out.
Yeah, they ran out without their boots.
Barefoot. Some of them no jackets on. And they never found any of them together. They found 2 of them under a tree. They found 2 of them down in a ravine. They found 1 of them upriver. And to this day, no one knows what happened that they had to get out of the tent that quick. They just...
I know what story you're talking. Yeah, because
it was in the Russian one. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and there's pictures of them right up until, like, they were smiling, they were happy, they were looking after each other.
Yeah,
they had brought a little ukulele or something. They were playing songs around the campfire at night. They all washed their feet. They did the bandages. They changed their socks. Like, it was a hardcore, just to prove that you could do this hike. They were prepared. That's what they went out to do, and they just didn't come home. And then they found them like that.
I think I saw that on like one of those the richest top 10s that are terrible.
Sounds like quite a list.
If you know what I'm talking about, the richest, they do these top 10s, but they do like these gross generalizations that are sometimes wrong.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Like, that could be an episode.
Isn't that the one where they
segment,
thought, in that case though, you're talking about, didn't they assume that they had all gone eating something and they all went crazy, and that's what they were trying to say?
Who knows? Because they didn't
find them, but they found them, but they were all frozen, and
but
they were
like
all
one poor girl, like, her eyes and tongue were gone, I think.
I was going to say there was like mutilation, wasn't there?
Yeah. Because when they found her, did the autopsies. First of all, the military took the bodies. I don't know what's up with that. I think there's a lot to unpack there.
I didn't know that.
But like, the poor thing, like, there was blood in her stomach, which means she was still alive. Maybe when her tongue was gone. There's all this weird. So like, the only reason I got into that, Cam, is because you said the Abominable Snowman, and that was a theory.
And he did it.
Well,
case closed.
You look into it, and I legitimately don't think that that's a thing for that. Like, there's a big theory online that, like, military exercises, because they were doing stuff up above the mountains and everything. But regardless, something happened very quickly that these young people who were so prepared to go on this hike, just left their tent in freezing temperatures in the snow.
With no clothes other than what they had on.
No socks, no boots.
Just ran.
Yeah.
Whatever it was scared them bad.
I don't know if I want to know. You know?
I don't know if I want to know. I looked into it one night hard, and I went down the rabbit hole, and I don't know if I want to know either, because I was none of them looked like they died comfortably.
Yeah.
It's not a...
I would want to know how it happened if they died comfortably.
That I completely understand that feeling.
If not, I don't want to know. Did speaking of governments and things, did anyone go to the big Area 51 meeting?
Where they stood around half coffee and looked through the fence?
I think there was a report of one man caught urinating near Area 51. I think there was a woman that maybe approached the fence. There was 2.5 million or 3 million maybe people in this Facebook group. They were going to go to Area 51, and the idea was they can't stop all of us. So I think when it came time for the actual event, 75 people showed up. I'm not looking any of this up, and all these numbers could be wrong.
It was a lot of people showed up.
Sounds about right.
I thought it was like 75.
Oh, I think...
Was it more than that?
I'm going to Google that for you while you're talking.
Thank you. And they just kind of, they had some music, and I think it was kind of like a festival next to Area 51, and then no one really did anything, but they were, kind of interesting thought. It's like, well, if 3 million people descended on the base, I mean,
it only depends upon what they really have there for real.
do you know?
No one knows.
Bob Lazar knows.
That's the guy. Yeah.
So the article
He was
reads,
the first guy wasn't he like the guy that started all that? Like he was
He worked there.
Right.
he worked there.
He worked there and then he came out and said, yeah.
More than 2 million people, no more than 2 million alien enthusiasts said they were interested in storming the gates at the secret Nevada military base. And the date has arrived. The original raid was actually canceled when its organizer said it was all just a joke. And the Air Force warned that it's probably not a great idea.
The
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm still looking. Journalists at the scene. Couple hundred people.
Just it was a few hundred.
Yeah,
Okay.
a couple hundred people.
This is how
Yeah.
rumors happen.
my kind of
75. That's where you got that number. 75 people literally went to the gate.
Okay, so that's what it was.
But
They
it was a
actually
couple
went-
hundred people gathered around.
Okay.
the-
Okay.
Yeah. I guess they all decided to, I don't want to be shot today.
Yeah.
What I did sign up for, though, was the raid on Sony headquarters. Because we want Spider-Man back.
No, it's done.
I know it's a done deal as of yesterday, I think, eh?
Done deal as of yesterday. Yeah, they finally patched up their little tiff because they realized, wait a minute, if we fight, we won't make any money.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Spider-Man is
Are you
owned
aware
by
of this?
Sony, and Marvel
The film rights are owned by
film
Sony.
rights are owned by
So-
Sony. So Sony
So
said,
Sony had enough of Spider-Man being successful in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and decided, we'll even keep the director and Tom Holland, but we're going on our own. And Marvel, you can't have Spider-Man anymore.
Okay. I heard
So
about-
all this stuff that has happened with like shrines to Tony and all this stuff in the, sorry if I spoiled anything, folks. And, okay, like that would all be gone. It was like they'd have to pretend like the Avengers just didn't exist in the next Spider-Man movie.
so they'd
like-
start over again.
But
They'd
they
have to
just signed a
pretend
new
that
deal yesterday.
the largest grossing film, wasn't it, of all time or one of the top, just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
All
maybe
right.
they're just selling off to Disney before why they can, because I hear a lot of rumors of Apple buying Sony. Is that a real thing?
I can't imagine. Oh, you mean for the rights to that?
No.
In general,
Just to buy them
In
out.
general, buying
The-
out Sony.
The only thing I can imagine Apple being interested in is the rights to that, because I think there's a rumor that Apple is going to have its own streaming service at some point.
more
to
than a
compete.
rumor, it's available in November.
Oh, well, there you go. So, I could see them doing something like what Disney did and trying to buy up rights for,
Well, look at Disney now. They have their own on-demand service, right? And before they had all of their movies, which would have brought a lot of people in, yes. But when you buy Star Wars and then you buy the MCU, it's like you have a huge juggernaut now.
Well, now they have all these shows coming out, right?
Well, yeah.
Like Falcon and Hawkeye, and there's rumors of an Ant-Man show. So Ant-Man not getting a third movie, but getting a show instead. So here's what I found. In light of the stalemate in negotiations between Disney and Sony over the property of Spider-Man, Apple has revealed they are looking into buying Sony Pictures for themselves.
wow.
That's massive.
But that was 2 days before it was announced that they did make a deal on the Spider-Man thing.
So you were thinking that Apple was waiting, figured they might
I
as
don't
well
know.
strike while the getting was good, or
I don't know.
Isn't that strike while the iron is hot?
yeah, something like that.
Strike while they get this good.
He's just shooting from his hip.
I hope that edit makes it into this one, so that makes sense.
Call back.
Yeah.
Strike while they're getting this good.
Strike. Bush League podcast. Strike while the getting is good.
I'm gonna make like a banana and leave.
But as funny as a screen door in a battleship.
What?
It used to be as funny as a screen door in a submarine.
Yeah, but now I would almost guess that you're referencing that Flex Seal commercial where Buddy cuts a hole in the boat and he puts the door and seals
That
it
is
with
an
Flex
amazing
Seal.
product.
Oh my gosh. Oh, what is happening?
Wow. Can we get sponsored by Flex Seal? We talked about all the things that it fixes.
Flex Seal, are you hearing this?
We can be your number one distributor in Canada.
Mr. Seal.
Mr. Seal.
So we're talking about these guys that were up there in the wilderness, cutting their way out of the tent. What do you think the chances you would survive out there in the wilderness?
I think I'm
Just
Zero.
left to your own devices
Zero.
out there in the
Zero.
wilderness.
This is going to be quite the conversation.
Oh, yeah. I would die very fast. I don't know how to do anything. I need a grocery store. I need trucks bringing food to the grocery store so I can get my food.
Need internet.
I need the
Cell
internet.
phone.
I would have
I need a
a
D-brand
prayer of
skin.
surviving if it was blueberry season. And that'd be it.
I honestly think I could survive because I'm hairy and I have that extra layer of security.
I've never.
Until
40.
hunting season, you get mistaken for a bear.
No, I think I could. I think I
Why? What do you do? Like, what's the first thing you do?
First thing you do is you make a shelter. You go to the nearest
Out of
tree.
what?
You cut pine boughs down.
What do you cut it with?
Well, you break them with either you kick them or you actually use a rock or find something laying around.
Toenail.
Toenail. Well done, Gary.
See, that's.
You just got to get to a pine tree.
You need a water filter like first.
No, Cameron's good.
Yeah, water's number one, right?
He already practices drinking his own urine because it's sterile and he likes the taste.
That's hurtful.
Yeah.
So I take it we're not going to go stay out in the woods to look for Bigfoot then?
Well, Tyson don't even like to go camping, let alone go out in the woods.
I would go look for Bigfoot though.
I'm shocked. Wait, you'd have to sleep in a tent.
There's no sleeping, man. I'm up all night. I'm looking for Bigfoot.
Good
There's
point.
a zero chance of survival.
Maybe you should.
What do you do? What do you do if you find him? What
Yeah,
happens?
what do you do? Hog tie him?
You bring him on the podcast.
How do you know he speaks English?
Good question.
They don't speak, Cameron.
How do you know?
Maybe through a series of grunts and sign language at best.
Oh, like what you do.
Then how do you know what I'm saying now?
I don't know. It's just all.
Yeah, but water first, right? That's you got to get water or shelter. Which came first, the water or the shelter?
Water.
Okay.
Well, it depends what woods where you are, boys. There's
What do you
probably a
mean?
big distinction.
Why does it depend on the woods?
Well, probably if you're in like the middle of Jamaica or some crazy place like that.
Jamaica. What did they ever do to you?
I feel like it's
Because
a
it's
small.
hot.
It's an island.
You don't have to walk very far to find people.
Find water. Yeah,
Yeah.
find people or water. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
shit.
mean-
Yeah. Fresh water there, down there.
Yeah, it's surrounded by fresh water.
Fields of marijuana.
Gary, are you trying to insinuate something? Hell, that could be here. Isn't there grop going up there in Chatham somewhere?
Not officially. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, Jake seems to know.
What just happened?
That
So-
one's just to the
I think
Water,
that
water or
answers-
shelter? You still didn't really answer you just said it depends.
I would have to say shelter first, and then you look for water because you have to come back to someplace.
I just can't get past being lost in the woods in Jamaica. It's like, that's the one you pick.
Cameron, are you dead, man?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we can't use that one.
Cameron saw Cool Runnings once, and now he thinks he could survive in the woods in Jamaica.
There's like the Amazon. There's some large places. He picks, yeah.
Coconuts.
Takes Jamaica. He doesn't say the rainforest. He doesn't say the middle of Africa. Jamaica.
Large. It just cracks me up.
How about another card, Gary?
Bear Grylls over there is another question.
We're not really as formal and as planning as people think. We're more of just, shoot from the hip kind of people. So we just kind of roll with whatever comes next.
What's
What's next?
Shoot from there.
I so did.
You just wasted some of your life listening to the Bush League podcast. You must stop what you're doing right now. like and subscribe, and leave a 5-star rating. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and like us on Facebook.